Hi everybody, it is April and I am in my craft room, and today we are going to make a Tic Tac quilt. One of my viewers requested that I do a tutorial on the Tic Tac quilt. Funny story, I looked through every one of my books and I couldn't find it. So I thought, well, maybe it's sold separately. So I went out on the website on fabriccafe.com, downloaded the Tic Tac quilt, and I swear to you, it wasn't 45 minutes later, I was flipping through Easy Peasy. Guess what I found? The Tic Tac quilt. So now I have two versions of it. And when I read the directions, I was like, ooh. Turns out this quilt came together in an evening after I had worked. So the directions are good. You just have to follow them, which, you know, sometimes I struggle with. You're gonna love this quilt. You really are. Let me show you what this quilt looks like. So this is the quilt. And of course, you will need 3 yards of fabric. Let me go over mine. I'm doing some really bright colors today. We'll see how it turns out. I have had this flip-flop fabric for quite some time. I love flip-flops. I don't really wear I used to wear flip-flops a lot. Now I just wear tennis shoes. But anyway, love flip-flops in all different kinds of colors. This is Tropical Breeze, designed by Greta Lynn for canvas, and it's in association with Benartex. So that is my fabric one. This is also a really good pattern for designs that you want to not cut up small. So this was perfect for this. I've got some, you know, larger flip-flops, and you'll get to see the larger flip-flops in the finalized quilt. Fabric 2 for me is going to be this geometric, and it is Keepsake Calico by Joann's. I'm delving into my rainbows collection. Fabric number 3 is going to be Bubbly by Basically Patrick in the color wave of purple. I've purchased this, and I don't remember where, in several different color waves. It's a good blender fabric, I think. Okay, let's get cutting. My pieces of fabric are cut. The first thing that I am asked to do is take the partial cut of fabric 1 and then the piece of fabric 1 that is with the fabric, and sew the skinny pieces of fabric 3 to each side. So I've got 2 long pieces of fabric 3 and 1 shorter piece, or 2 shorter pieces of fabric 3 that will be attached to these 2 pieces of fabric 1. So this is strip assembly A. Now I am supposed to cut 6 pieces out of strip assembly A. So now I've got my 6 squares, which are considered Unit A. So Unit A is done. All right, now strip assembly B. Fabric 2. And fabric 3. Go together. I wanted to point out that right here is where you would have to deviate from the instructions if you were going to use a directional fabric. At first I thought a directional fabric wasn't even a possibility, but it is, because if I can do a panel, then I can do directional fabric. So right here, when you take when you take fabric 2 and you put a strip of fabric 3 on this piece, this is not what you would do, because what we're getting ready to do is we're getting ready to cut this into 3 sections. So you would cut your fabric 3 the length that you would cut this section, and do the same for fabric 2. And then you have 3 pieces of fabric 2 and 3 pieces of fabric 3, and you can put fabric 3 on top of one of the 3 pieces and at the bottom of the other 2, because this piece, which is, well, one of these 3 pieces, it doesn't have to be that one of these 3 pieces gets flipped the other way. The other 2 pieces stay with the fabric 3 at the bottom. So you can use directional and you can use panels. So just like I said here, we're going to cut this fabric into 3 sections. That is unit C. Now we need to make strip assembly C. I don't know where unit B went. Unit B has already been cut, and those are these particular pieces here. So unit B is this fabric 2 right here. I've brought you to my design wall so that I can more easily show you how unit A, B, and C make your columns or your vertical rows. Here is unit A. And all 3 of your rows will be the same. Unit B. And this could be a directional fabric because you can control the way you turn it. Then you have another unit A, which is made up of fabric 1 and fabric 3. And then you have unit C. Now this can also be directional. You just have to change the way you create this particular block. Now your next vertical row is exactly the same as this row, but it's upside down. So there again, this is where you want to take, if you're using a panel piece or directional fabric, you would want to make sure that the top of your fabric was next to your fabric 3 and the bottom was away from fabric 3 on this row and this row only. Your other 2 rows, your directional fabric would be top here, bottom right next to your fabric 3. And then we have A. And these aren't even, but that's okay. And then we have B. And then we have A. I'm sorry. Yep, A. I'm wrong one. Then we have A. And there we've got the rows. Now let's go work on what goes in between our rows. Now let's work on the sashing for in between our rows. Here is what we're going to sew next, and this is going to make up our sashing. So you've got your fabric 2 with a fabric 3 block, 2, 3 block, 2, 3 block, 2, 3 block, 2. And then once we sew all these together, we'll trim them into 4 strips of sashing. Sashing has been sewn. All of my pieces are together. Now I'm going to fold it, and I'm actually going to fold it again. Barely got my 4 out. I now have my strips of sashing. So I will show you how this goes on the design wall. And that is going to go between here. It's also going to go over here. Let me finish sewing it and I will share it with you. My quilt top is done. I am really liking this Tic Tac pattern. I didn't think I would at first, but it's really good for showing off big motifs on your fabric that you don't want to cut up into little bitty pieces. So I'm very pleased. In addition, I also used a panel to create this one. I used, you know, my favorite 3 wishes, and I cut out the panels. It just so happened that these panel pieces were the perfect size. And here's where I put this fabric 3 on the top of this panel piece for the 1 row. I also had I used a panel, and then I also used 3 fabrics so that I could come up with the little squares that are a part of the sashing, and I also used that as the border. So you can use panels and directional fabric with this awesome pattern. Again, it is the Tic Tac pattern, and it is from Easy Peasy 3-Yard Quilts. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you taking the time. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you want to see more crafty tutorials. Have a great day, eat some chocolate, and be kind to everyone. Until next time, bye. So you can use directional fabric and panels with this awesome